Well, the recessed March meeting back to order, because we recessed at our last meeting thinking we might have to meet before tonight. We did not, but let me ask you, does anybody have anything that needs to be addressed in the March meeting? Okay, if not, then I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn that meeting.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, that meeting is adjourned. We'll call the, we'll call the April 16th meeting to order. Good to see everybody. John, we're on, right? Yeah, John. We're good? All right. Good to see everybody tonight. Appreciate you coming out. We got some folks that are with us regularly, and we've got some that don't get up here too often, and we're glad to have them, but they're here for a purpose tonight, so we'll get to that here in just a few minutes. If you would, if you'll bow with me, we'll have a word of prayer before we go any further. Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for yet another day to be on this earth and to have the opportunity to live and enjoy life and enjoy where we live. We're thankful for the many things that you do for us and how you bless our community and our people. We pray that you'll continue to do that. We pray that you'll bless these individuals wearing our police uniforms tonight, the fire personnel, and take care of them as they go about sometimes some dangerous activities. We appreciate seeing all the kids out playing tonight and families that get to have family time together. We're just thankful to live in a small community and in a country where we're free to do that. Now, we have some decisions to make tonight. We pray that you'll lead us and direct us, help us, and forgive us of our sins. Amen. All right, we got minutes from the last meeting, even though technically we didn't finish it till tonight, but we can go ahead and approve what we had because we didn't do anything tonight anyway on the March meeting. Discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, minutes are carried. By the way, I should have announced we have a quorum. The two ladies that are on the council, as I jokingly said a while ago, it looks like old boys club tonight. But the two ladies, Laura's daughter is finishing playing some softball and winding down on her senior year, and certainly understand her being absent, and April let me know this afternoon that both she and her daughter are sick, so hopefully they'll be better soon. This is the time in the meeting where we go to public business. If somebody's got something they want to talk to us about before we get into our regular items, now's the time to do it. All right, y'all know, you know my theory. If you don't move pretty quick, I close it. So. Oh, now don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. What you got on your mind?
Two things.
Okay.
City streets. When are they going to be fixed?
No time soon.
Because some of them are getting so bad, it's like a zigzag getting around the potholes.
Every time it rains, it gets worse.
You know. Also,
you do know that it's going to take $10 million to fix them all.
no, I didn't know that.
Yes. That's why it's not happening quickly.
Okay. Also, I saw Miss Lynn Daughtry down at the depot a while ago, and she asked about the sidewalks on the square. She said that someone fell down there last week, and I don't know whose responsibility that is to see about that. So you may want to check in with Lynn to.
Okay, Lynn
Daughtry at the
okay.
park.
I will. I'll ask her about that.
And thank y'all for everything you do.
Well, thank you, and I didn't mean to be short about the streets. I said on the radio this morning, every time we get a big rain, it gets worse, and we're going to have to fix them, but I honest to goodness don't know how we're going to get it done. But
okay.
I'm hoping that a vision, or what I really would like is for one of y'all to win the lottery and give us the money as a tax write-off. That's what I'd really like. So y'all rush out and buy your tickets, okay? Anybody else? Okay, we'll move into, I thought we were going to have some special recognition tonight, but we'll have that next month. We have a young lady from the high school that her teacher wants her to be recognized for her, the work she's done and the things she's done, and we'll do that at our May meeting. That's what they suggested. We'll go into our reports and then we'll get on to the main order of business. First in the roundup tonight is the fire department, so Lieutenant Bell, I think, is here to...
Actually, he wasn't able to be here, so...
He's not. Well, I would have called you Lieutenant Bell. It's glad you told me.
Chief Hahn has asked me to fill in. So.
I know who you are now. Couldn't recognize you back there in the dark.
Yeah. So it's pretty standard. As you can see, we had 24 calls in the city and 26 in the county, total of 50 calls, average 1.72 calls per day. Had 44 paged out by 911 and 6 by Wilson EMA.
I saw down in your informational items about you wanting to replace the Suburban.
Yes, sir.
And my understanding is, from reading that, is when you do, you want us to declare, the Suburban, the 97 surplus and sell it.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And we'll put that money back into your budget.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully. But you're not ready to act on that tonight?
No, we're not prepared to do anything with that tonight.
Is there anything we need to act on tonight for you?
There is not.
That's good news.
It is.
We got some act coming here in a minute. It's gonna get expensive. Anybody got any questions, comments?
Now, Suburban, I asked him about that a couple of meetings ago, and he told me then that they'd repaired it, it was in working order, in good working order. Now,
It is in working order, but given the condition of it, it's going to cost us more than expected in the future as it comes with age, so.
It's an antique. It's 27 years old.
It is.
yeah.
It sure is.
Well, that's an issue we'll be discussing in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else you need to tell us?
That's it.
All right, we appreciate you and the department. I know y'all have had some, Chief Hahn's had some discussions with the WEMA people about their expanded presence up here, but I want to say publicly, as I have told Chief Hahn and also my friends at the county, we're glad to have them up here, but it does not affect what we do. Our
Right.
department remains viable, and y'all just keep on keeping on.
We will.
All right,
Thank you.
appreciate you. All right, looks like Chief Hinderlight's up next, and I think I sent out something about a week ago and put it in my article, but Chief Hinderlight is now permanent Chief Hinderlight, so.
I get to ask more questions then?
You can
Don't
ask
answer
questions,
that,
you don't
sir.
need to spend any money tonight, I can tell you that.
Well, we can't spend no money.
You got to live with the old shirts for a little while.
That's right, I can handle that. Y'all have any questions over anything we've done? Or the stats, whatever you would want to call them?
Nope. Anybody? All the vehicles running good?
Absolutely. I know you have a question, Mr. Roberts.
I'm gonna bring it up later, Al.
Okay, I fixed it, but okay. All right. Yeah, they do look good. They really do.
Y'all had city court tonight?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay.
Before, he had to move it, and we made it as quick as what we could to get out of the way. But we'll be back on schedule second Tuesday of every month going out through December.
All right. Question to the chief? Anybody? All right, appreciate it.
Yep.
Looks like you got a good crew over there with you.
Yes.
You got a couple sitting behind you, I don't know how smart that is, but.
They got me, boss, they got me.
All right, Dale, you'll be first next time, but tonight's your last.
We did have a leak in one of the manholes in the creek that was letting a lot of creek water come into the manhole, and we got some sandbags, and the contractors came down with their little machine they had and hammered out the concrete, and we reconcreted the lid back on the manhole and got that fixed. The contractors are out working on the pump station on Commerce Avenue, and they're expected to be done with that by the end of this week, so that'll be a good thing. And that's a couple things I got for you.
I'll have a budget amendment later tonight, moving the money to pay them, moving it out of our savings, our fund balance into paying them. I've already paid them, we've already paid them $80,000 to, and there'll be about $148,000 left. So we've got the money for that, don't sweat that. And we remember hearing Dale's report several months ago, the work that needed to be done, so. Any questions of Dale? Comments, anybody? All right, thank you, Dale. Well, all right, we might as well get to it. We approved bids back in January to do what I have referred to as a major sewer project, and it is very major, perhaps the biggest one we've ever done in this city. Bids came in at a little over 5.1 million, and with an alternate to perhaps be deducted, 4.1 million. Last month, y'all approved me hiring a financial consultant, as I jokingly said, but there is some truth to it. When we start getting into numbers where there are a lot of zeros on it, I need some help. And hired Ashley McEnulty, and he is here tonight. He's sitting on the second row there. He's been he and his dad been a great friend to the county government for years and years, and personal friends to me. I've enjoyed working with them and appreciate that. He's here tonight that can answer questions about what we need to do. Steve Jones from Water Management is back there, our engineer. We've seen a lot of Steve the last 2 or 3 years as we work toward this, and then Mr. Conrad's here. And I hope he doesn't want any money tonight, but he's gonna want some before long, I suspect. You ready to go to work, aren't you?
By this Friday.
By this Friday? Yeah. Might have to get, might have to get some kind of bridge loan or something on that, we'll have to see. But now, getting serious. I sent you out some information, and Ashley has done some comparison numbers for us. That was on one sheet there. We can, the 5.1 million is a little over that. It's like 5.142 million, as I recall. And then there's some costs of issuance of the bonds, some legal fees and that type of thing. So he has calculated bonds at $5.5 million at what we believe to be a rate of around 4% when they go into the marketplace over 25 years. I had hoped that we could do something for 40 years with USDA, but we can't do that because of their requirements. Then you'll see there he's dropped it down to 3.6 million, an option that was based on a Zoom call we had yesterday with Steve and Ashley, myself, and Jeff Oldham with Bass, Berry & Sims, who are the bond lawyers, probably preeminent lawyers in the state on bond issuance. Worked with Jeff a lot of years, trust him as well. You'll see that figure, and then we talked about a couple of options and they're not any cheaper, but one thing we could do is perhaps do a bond anticipation note for 2 years, borrow the money, pay the contractor as he does his work, and see if there are other options 2 years from now, such as USDA or sewer revolving loan fund or whatever. But honestly, 2 years from now, if we take that option, we may be back in the same boat issuing long-term bonds, and we're kind of playing the market as to whether the market stays good or bad. We know that we don't control that, so we need to make a decision on that tonight because we need to get the work started. And Ashley, you got anything you want to add to that, or feel free. If you brought 5.5 million with you, we'll be glad to take it.
My bag won't quite hold all that. Is it all right to stand here and speak?
It is.
Okay, thank
It
you,
is.
Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity to come before you all tonight. So, as the mayor described, we were charged with looking at what would be the lowest cost financing for the various projects and options that you all have available. So the borrowed amount would represent the maximum amount. So if for some reason your project came in a little bit less, obviously we would only issue the amount that was necessary for the city to be able to take care of the project. So these estimates may be a little bit high, but I think for the most part, this gives you an idea of what the interest rates are in the current bond market. We looked at all the various options with various financing providers, capital markets, USDA at this time, and others. So given the timing and the framework that you all have for your project, as the mayor described, these four give you that information, I think, to think about and look at for tonight. So if you have questions, I'm here and available. We would propose whichever option you choose to do it through a competitive bid process. So we would try to make sure you got the lowest true interest cost from whichever provider it would be, whichever option you decide to choose tonight. So with that, Mayor, I'll be here if you have questions.
If you might explain, actually, I'd like to hear it too as a refresher, how the bond, how the city gets their bonds rated, what you have to do to do
Okay, so if you were to go to the capital markets on, say, a longer term financing, we would go through a rating process with one of the larger rating agencies. So for instance, the county is rated a AA+ by Standard & Poor's. There's also a rating agency called Moody's. And so what they would do is come and take an evaluation of the city, its finances, its management, economic development, all of those things, those factors, and we would do a phone call with the mayor and your city recorder to go over your finances. They'd look at your prior audits, they'd look at where you are financially and all, and then they would make a determination, much like a credit score for an individual, they'd be doing a credit score of the city. And once they determine what that rating is, that sets a broad example for the market to say this is a good credit, Watertown has a good strong credit, and here's what we would propose in the way of interest rate on these bonds. And so that's the process. They would prepare a full report, submit that to all prospective bidders, and so they know what they're bidding on, so they understand what the finances of the city are.
Yeah, as I understand it, as a general rule, the better your bond rating, the lower your interest
Yes,
cost.
sir, that's exactly right.
We don't have a lot of history, at least recently, in borrowing money that, where there had to be a rating, so it'd be interesting to see how that comes in. When it happens.
We went through this process about a year ago with Greenbrier, City of Greenbrier. They had not been rated prior. They were rated A+ rating, so they didn't have, their finances are similar to the city of Watertown, so I would expect you to be in the A category, possibly a AA- category, which is still a really good, solid investment grade rating for the city.
Okay. All right. Questions of,
I didn't have
Ashley?
one, this,
Yes.
the examples we got is a 4% fix. Is that, is 4% the current rate for an A rating or A-? I mean, how does the 4% relate to the ratings, which we don't have yet?
Right, so,
My question.
so the 4% relates to an A rating, and so I went into the market and I said, give me the A-rated credits nationwide and what type of interest rates they received on recent bond issues. So over the last week, what did they receive? General obligation, so it'd be based on the taxing authority of the city. What did they receive in the way of interest rates? And so that's what I used as a indicator for this. So these fixed rates, they're not subject to change. So we're not proposing a variable rate that would be 3 years from now, somebody's going to come in and change the rate on you. We're proposing to do a fixed rate for the life of the bond issue, so a 20-year fixed rate. The 4%, for y'all that are familiar, the car loans are at 8 or 9 or 10% now. Home mortgages are at 7, 8%. The city would be at a tax exempt rate. So a taxable equivalent to a 4% would probably be around a 6% taxable. But we're looking at a 4% tax exempt rate for the city in the current market. And that would be, again, subject to bid, but that's where the rates came from.
So, but basically, if the rating came back as an A- or a B+, it could potentially be a little bit higher.
A little bit, that's right. Yeah, like 5 basis points difference. It doesn't move a whole lot within an A category. If you get to a double A, then you go up about, I mean, you go down about 5 basis points, so each category. So an A plus would be these rates, and then A rating would be the next category down, would be add 5 basis points, the category down, add another 5. That's sort of the way the market's been running.
If it goes up, it comes down.
That's right, exactly, yes, sir.
County is looking, their bond rating is one of the top 7 or 8 in the state.
It is, and it's one step from the highest. So AAA rating is the highest. It go AAA, AA plus, AA minus, A plus, A, and then A minus, and then below that you go to non-investment grade, which in Tennessee, I'm not aware of any county or city that's non-investment grade. Most of them are just not rated at all if they feel like they're not going to get investment grade or better. But most of them are all investment grade or better.
Okay. Other questions?
Anticipation note, how does the interest work on that?
So that one would be a local bank bid, and that would be for a short term. So it would be like a 2-year rate. At that point, after that 2-year maturity, you would have to seek permanent financing. And once you seek permanent financing, you'd be subject to the interest rates at that time. So you would go out for a longer 20-year issuance or however long you decide to go. These are actually a 25-year issuance. I may have said 20 earlier, but these are a 25-year fixed rate. That's the way a 2-year rate would work. So it's only going to get you a part of the way. It's not going to get you the whole way.
Just to the annual to see if the
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Other questions, comments? Now's the time to ask. Anybody on the line, John, wanting to ask about anything? That's good. No news is good news.
I do have one question. What, you said the USDA wasn't an option because of certain requirements. How far off are we from meeting those requirements for USDA?
Not really a question of the meeting of it, was a timing issue.
Well, and the reason I'm asking is, would we want to consider the 2-year anticipation if we think we can get USDA at 2 years and get to 40 years?
I asked that question too yesterday. You want
It's my understanding that the USDA would be involved at the very beginning, but not midway through the process. So they don't have a product that would be a refinancing of an existing, or once you start your financing, they want to be involved from the very beginning. And their process would require, not to denigrate that program, because it's a good program, but it's a lengthy process to get into that program. If you qualify, it's long-term, a little bit lower fixed rates, but you also are subject to additional requirements such as the Davis-Bacon Act, which requires your contractors to work at prevailing wage rates. So these contracts have been bid. It's my understanding they may not have taken into account Davis-Bacon Act. That adds an additional factor. And then you also get into, you have to buy, potentially you have to buy American products in everything, which we try to buy products in most everything, but there may be certain things that you can only get from a foreign entity or whatnot. So that's the kind of things that you're getting into. And then you're getting into also a lengthy monitoring process as you go along with the USDA loans. So there's a lot of paperwork on the front end, but there's also a lot of, as you try to make draws on those potential loans, then you also have a lot of paperwork attached to that. So it's an administrative issue as much as anything.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Steve, you want to tell us a little bit about what our options are as far as the work?
Yeah, so, as we talked, I'm sure everybody remembers that the last time I was here and we talked about those nice big numbers. But we bid the job to rehab the existing sewer system that moves the sewer line that's in the creek right now that goes down to the main pump station out of the creek, so that we eliminate all of that water that's coming in there. And then it also rehabs the existing sewer system. So we pull a liner through the existing pipes, mainline pipes that are owned by the city, and that eliminates the leaks through the cracks in those pipes and the annular seals and stuff by putting a new fiberglass pipe inside the old pipes that are broken. As part of that project as well, you reinstate services to people's homes. So what that means is we come back down the line and we cut that fiberglass pipe so that those service lines continue to drain into those pipes. One thing that was in the contract that we bid so that we could have pricing on it for you was to have those service lines relined up to the property line. So from the main line over to the property line and a new clean out installed. So the total bid was approximately $5.4 million. If we eliminate the service line rehab, then that drops your bid price down to approximately $3.5 million. So as I was telling the mayor the other day on the phone, that is work that could be done at another time if you wanted to wait on that. To me, the $3.5 million worth of the project is what is absolutely critical to be done, especially getting the sewer out of the creek. But if, you know, I know we all live in the world where there's only a certain amount of money to go around. So if, if the city looks at it and says, we need to reduce those costs, then that would be where I would suggest you reduce the cost associated with the project.
Questions for Steve, comments?
If you go back and you do it at a later time, is it a harder, more expensive process, or is it the same?
It's the same right now. Mount Juliet, Tennessee is doing projects where they're just rehabbing service lines. So it is possible to come back and just rehab those service lines at a later date. Obviously, the risk you take anytime you delay doing something is that, what is the cost going to be at that point in time? But there might be an opportunity to have better financing or another program that you can work with to perhaps get some principal forgiveness or grant. That is a possibility. But where Watertown stands in regards to its agreed order and stuff, getting all of these mainline sewers lined and getting this sewer out of the creek is critical infrastructure work that needs to be completed.
Just so I have a proper understanding, the service line you're talking about, obviously it comes from the main all the way to the residence, but we're only talking about doing the portion from the main to the property line, which is our liability. We're not talking about rehabbing lines all the way to the residence.
That's right. So, because you don't have the authority to get on private property, so you would be stopping at that location. So if you had leaks occurring from there to the property line, it would seal those leaks up. But if you had leaks from the property line on towards the house, those would remain.
Those are the responsibility of the property owner, theoretically.
Theoretically, those are the responsibility of the property owner.
Other questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
Is that new system going to put excessive pressure on the property owner lines, or is it going to keep it at the same level?
No, ma'am, it's still gravity sewer. It won't change anything about the level of service that you receive or any other resident of Watertown receives. We're just simply putting a new fiberglass cast-in-place pipe in there just to try to prevent leaks, which should reduce any excess flow and then, help prevent any backups that anybody would be experiencing.
And that involves replacing everything that's in the little meter box.
That's water. This is sewer.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is just sewer,
This
so
is just
that's
sewer, yeah.
something
We're
that
not
There's another box for that.
Yeah.
You? All right, Steve, I guess we'll ask you to sit back down and be available, and we'll see what we're gonna do.
The difference in these two here, what's that gonna come to the cost of our rates, the individual rates as far as sewage rates? Or is it we gonna have to raise them to meet our demand, or are we gonna have to, which one? the 2-year of the 3.6 million of the
or the 5.5.
5.5.
Water and sewer rates will have to go up.
I know that, it's gotta be.
And so how much, how, I can't tell you because, I will tell you, we have been, requested, and you know what happens when they request, the comptroller's office to do a water loss survey. And so I have talked to a gentleman, Seth Rye with engineering. He was recommended by the Tennessee Association of Utility Districts to give us a study that will put us into compliance with water loss, to limit our water loss. Now, that should save us a little money. It's not going to pay for this, obviously, it's not going to save that much. There are some other things we can do to help offset some of the increase, but the bottom line is we're going to have somebody do a water rate study for us so that we can pay our debt service. You don't want to default on your bonds. That's not the kiss of death for a city, but it's put you almost terminal. You don't want to do that. So I can't tell you how much, and let me see what others may have to say, and then I'll tell you what I've been struggling with. Anybody? Yeah, don't miss it. There would have to be a water and sewer rate increase sometime probably later this summer, because we'll have to get ready to start paying this first payment back in a year.
So would it be just water and sewer, or we'll need to raise taxes also?
No, we can't raise taxes to pay for water, so I'm having trouble finding my word.
Enterprise fund.
It's what, enterprise fund, thank you. You have to live off your revenues, water and sewer revenues.
To pay for our debt even?
Yeah, because this is strictly a water and sewer debt. Other question? Yeah.
Quick question. I overlooked it.
We don't have to be in a hurry tonight.
I overlooked it in reviewing this month's mail out from April. Last year's budget, we had projected metered water sales at 282,000. Are we pretty much on, is that a good number for the year? Are we on schedule so far this year?
I think we are. I looked at that today. All I can do is divide it by 9 months and multiply by 12, but I think we're pretty close. I budget revenues pretty conservatively and expenditures a little high, hoping that we stay in the black and build up some money. And we've built up some money over the years. We've got some money put away, but
Not $5 million.
not $5 million, not really enough to make a difference on this. And certainly if and when we borrow the money, we need to have something put away in case we have a slow year or something that we can make the payment from our savings. So, I wish there was a way, other than what I suggested a while ago, somebody that won the lottery. But, or we'll take a large cash contribution if they want to make it, don't have to win the lottery. But, honestly, we've got to do some planning for our citizens and the citizens to come along, the young people, because we're talking about a 25-year debt here. And basically a house payment, you know how that is. Except this is a much more expensive house. Anybody want to make a motion, or? All right, before we go there, I take this responsibility seriously, and I've always felt like the person that sits in this chair has to be a leader, and I hope I lead you in the right direction, but I have struggled with this, about what to do, and there are two things I keep coming back to. The lines in the ground and the sewer system itself was put in 1962. It's 62 years old. it's got to have some repair, it's got to have some maintenance to make sure that the dirty water goes out. As Dale Smith's father used to say, his job was to make sure the dirty water goes out. And we've got to have that in place. That's the first thing. The second thing is Dale has talked to me, Steve Jones has talked to me. We know that sometime in the near future, we are going to have to do some work at the plant. I've been kind of being devil's advocate with them, and they may get ill at me sometimes, but I'm saying, why talk about doing anything to the plant until we do this work and see how much it helps us? And then maybe we push off that work to the plant further in the future. So those are the two things that have been on my mind, certainly the last 3 or 4 days. I think, but I'll go along with whatever y'all want to do if you want to do something different. But I think it's time that we do it right, and we do what we bid and do the entire project. Knowing that we're going to have to raise water and sewer rates, and knowing that we may go in the grocery store after that and people may not speak to us. Hopefully they will, but I just think it's time. You know, you can patch stuff, you can patch your roof when it rains, but sooner or later you got to put a new roof on. And now the question in my mind, if we go that route, is do we issue the bonds now, or do we do the bond anticipation note and have this discussion again? Either whoever's at this table, future people have this discussion 2 years from now. So that's just my thoughts. And if you want to go the other way, however you want to go, I'm going to vote with you. Okay? We'll all hang separately, we'll all hang together. I will tell you one war story, and I know y'all get tired of hearing it, but this is the first term I was elected mayor. They called me into the state because, and I don't mean to be critical of anybody that came before us, but they called me into the state the first year, second year of my first term. And we basically had been operating off a budget here where nobody paid any attention to it. As long as there was money to pay the bills, they paid them. And they called me in down there and said, this has got to stop. And so they told me at that time, you got to raise rates to cover your debt service and to pay all of this. And the figure they put on me was 45%. I was 29 years old. Didn't think I'd get to see 30 in Watertown. Figured I'd have to move somewhere. But came back, explained that to the people, why we had to do it. And we did it, and the people re-elected the people that made that decision. Now, the election's not the key word, don't misunderstand me. I was just happy to survive. You know, I wanted to be able to live, wanted to be able to die here, just not at age 30. But the people trusted us to do the right thing. They put us in here to do the right thing, and it's our responsibility to do the right thing, whatever that may be. But it's got to be one of these 4 options. So I'm ready now for somebody to make a motion. I can't do that, or I would for you.
I just got something I want to say. I know we all swore to represent this community and be fiduciary stewards for this city whenever we took these positions.
We did.
They are voluntary. Based on that obligation, I feel like I want to make the motion for the 3.6, because looking at these numbers, that's going to be a hefty increase in the revenues that we need on a yearly basis. And if you go with the 5.5 million, you're talking over 100% increase in our revenues that we would need in a year to meet the annual obligation of these bonds, if I'm reading this correctly.
No, I think you'll need 50%, Steve, roughly. Our sewer budget's $668,000, and the payment would be $347,000, so it's roughly about 50%.
Okay.
But it's still, actual
I
dollars.
understand the 600,000 is the budget,
Yeah,
but the metered sales is less than 300,000. And the bond obligation on the 5.5 is over 300,000.
well, you got the sewer sales in there too, those two go together.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, sewer service charges.
yeah.
Thank you.
So that's
Yes,
about, yeah.
Okay, I will. Okay.
I'm not trying to talk you out of it,
No, I'm sorry, I missed the number. And I'll be honest with you, I looked at these numbers very quickly this afternoon because we weren't given these numbers.
Right.
Until just recently.
How many residents are in Watertown?
Residents, we've got 1,553, I think sewer 661. Does that sound about right? 661 water and sewer customers. Now that fluctuates, but not much.
I'm going to withdraw my motion and actually change it to motion to do with the 5.5 because that's 50, that would be, we're looking at about a 50% change from what we currently have in metered sales. And that's much more palatable than what I was originally thinking with only half the revenues, without all the total revenues.
It's still substantial either way, yeah.
It's substantial either way, but I think it's easier I mean, we gotta bite the bullet once sooner or later, and that's part of the problem, and don't take this as a reflection on you, because you've been here a long time.
I know exactly what you're gonna say. Say it.
Some of these issues probably should have been addressed 15, 20 years ago.
Yep.
In a piecemeal, step-by-step process, and we've kicked the can down the road long enough, we've got to bite the bullet. We have no choice. We're under a federal mandate, and you know that.
Yep, state mandate,
A state mandate.
but either way, it's mandate.
Either way, it's a mandate from someone higher up in the government chain than we are.
Yep,
And we have no choice, but we have to do this.
yep.
Is that 5.5 on the 4% fixed, or you 5.5 on the 2-year?
I'm thinking the 4% fixed. I'm not much of a gambler. And if we do the 2-year anticipation, we all know that come November of this year, we don't know what's going to go and what's going to happen down the road. And that's a big question mark for me. And I'm not a gambler to take that option.
All right, so let me make sure I understand, then your motion is to 5.5%, 25 years, and go to the bond market for 25 years, we're hoping it'll be 4% or less. Based on what Ashley said, I feel comfortable with
Yeah,
that.
the 5.5 million,
Okay,
not percent.
all right. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second to issue bonds 5.5 million for 25 years. Further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Are we ready to vote? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, hearing no opposition, it'll be declared as unanimous. Now, Ashley, we need to pass the initial bond resolution tonight, so you can start the process. Do you do also the final bond resolution, or is it?
Yes.
Okay,
That'd be good, and that way we'll get rolling, moving forward with it. It's a maximum 5.5, so we'll coordinate on if it's a little bit less than that, so we'll take that out, not issue those.
tell us the initial rate. We have, the initial resolution has to be good for about 20 days or something.
So the initial resolution is published one time in a newspaper general circulation in and around the city, so it could go in a local paper, and it basically tells the citizens in the area that you're going to be issuing bonds. 20 days later, you're able to go into the bond market, issue the bonds.
there's a provision in there that 10% of the registered voters
The last gubernatorial election.
file a petition with the city
Right.
recorder, we have to have a referendum on it.
That's right.
So, I've never seen that happen up here, but it could. Just trying to do full disclosure, like we did, as I mentioned years ago. I want everybody to know everything we're doing. There's nothing secret here. Okay, so I need a motion to approve the initial bond resolution.
I'll second.
Discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Then I need a motion on the actual issue bond resolution.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve that resolution. Discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No, no no's, excuse me, 5 ayes. You need anything from us, else from us, Ashley?
We'll go to work.
Appreciate that. You'll let me know if I need to get the council together or anything, you'll let me know.
That's great. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming up tonight.
Thank you.
It's easier to come from Nashville this time of night. Well, no, it's not.
I'm waiting for you. It's gonna be all right.
I'm sorry. I'm all addled here. I need to get back on task. Steve, appreciate you coming up.
Yes, sir.
Now, what do we do about signing the contract with Mr. Conrad?
I will send the contracts to his office tomorrow. They will sign them, get all their bonds. It goes back to me so that I can go make sure everything's completed correctly, and I will deliver them to you, Mayor, for you all, for you to sign them and have them attested, and we'll be able to have a pre-construction conference as soon as that's done and let them go to work.
Roughly, what are we looking at starting, breaking ground so the people here will know when all the big trucks come in?
So I can let Brian talk to that, but I know that his subcontractor for lining of the sewer lines is ready to come in just as soon as you're willing to have them. So Brian, do you want to?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity. And this is a different stage of project for you guys. You know, not just what we do, is what the other subcontractors going to do for us as well, as far as doing the manhole coatings and also doing the slip lining or cured in place, is what they call it. But he is ready to mobile in as soon as we get the paperwork done. As far as on my end, starting at the pump station and working my way out, we're probably within a month of getting in here and getting ready to start on that. Time we get the submittals done and, you know, materials made, that's really what's going to be the holdup on that.
Toward the end of May, 1st of June?
I'd say probably end of May, yeah,
Okay.
1st of June.
We're
We're ready to go, it's just as far as getting materials in and all that, they'll get the submittals approved, Mr. Jones, and, even on the cured place, these guys are coming from Memphis to here, so they are statewide, and they are, you know, they do go further than the state, but they come to areas to stay for a while, because that's what they like to do.
Okay.
And, you know, that will be in other areas where I'm gonna be at, where I'm gonna be focused, and that's gonna be in the creek, getting the sewer out of the creek and some of the streets, and these guys are gonna be up in the paved areas and, you know, middle of town.
Well, you know, I asked you those questions for the obvious reason. People are gonna ask us when they're gonna be here, but also to kind of circle back to Ms. Nix's initial question, and that is about paving streets. We pretty much made a decision. That's gotta be done, but we can't do it. It'd be silly to do it now and then the streets get torn up.
That's definitely true. Even when we're gonna cure a place, there could be spots in the line where it may have to be done. You
Yeah,
know, that's gonna be all in pre-TV they do, so they'll go in there and TV your lines visually, make sure everything's good prior to coating and cure and place it.
Okay.
You definitely don't wanna pay nothing till you can get your sewer system fixed, because it's underground. Anywhere we're gonna be in the streets will be fixed back. It may make the neighbors mad if they didn't get their street tore up, but that'll be under our contract to repair any streets that we tear up.
well, just tear up as many of them as you want to.
Well, we can always have.
You win 5.5 million and then pay them back.
Those are at your cost, though.
That's all right, our cost, but We can always do a change or an add-on on paving, but I'm not in the paving business. We're in getting the sewers fixed for counties and, towns like you guys.
Okay.
And even on the services, a lot of your problems is where you got water level. You get up to some of your services up on the hills, you definitely ain't gonna have no water issues up there. Your water problems are down by the creek, down in the low areas, and even if the service is cracked on your high hills, you're not gonna get much water there. The water table's not there. It will let something out, but you're not gonna get water when the water table is so much below the hillsides. You got a lot of hills over there in the area.
All right, appreciate you being here tonight and answering those questions.
Thank you for the opportunity to bid the work and come to work for you guys.
We'll look forward to seeing y'all up here, and I know several people on the east end of town where it's lower than, they're really looking forward to this, because when we get a fairly heavy rain, they have problems. Sometimes the water doesn't go out, so what?
Well, if it's lasted all these years, just think what a new product's gonna last. It's gonna last probably twice that at least, because, back then they didn't make as good as they do now. But like Mr. Jones said, if you wait 2 years to do anything else, the price, it's just, ever since I did this project to now, my costs has went up, at least 10% at least, if not more. We're gonna look into that and see, but we should still be able to monitor the same price we got into it. But I'm saying each day we wait, it's the more prices, even on epoxy, the cured place pipe, even the subcontractors do the manhole coatings. Everything just goes up every day.
Sure.
And the more time you wait, it's just the worse it gets.
Just get them streets tore up and fix them and do all that. I'm kidding. We appreciate you and appreciate the company. Y'all actually done some work. I'm really showing my age now, but I think the first project we did here, y'all did it.
Well, I hope it's still doing good.
Well, it's worked all this time.
Sewers in the creek.
It could have been a sewer in the creek. I don't remember blasting that back in the day. We try to get out of the blasting side of it. We strictly specialize in no blasting for communities like this, and we appreciate the water management on creating the jobs, no blasting. That's one thing you don't have to worry about is blasting complaints for doing a city project.
All right. All right. Anybody got any questions of these three guys? I'm sure they'd like to get somewhere to eat supper. So.
Hey, I do have one for Steve Jones.
Yes, sir.
I know on Commerce, because those houses on Commerce are directly connected right now to the main that's in the creek.
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna have to put a new main in the street and move their service lines in the opposite direction.
Yes.
Which means, how many houses is that on Commerce that are affected by that? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head.
I think I have.
I'm thinking it's around 8 or 9 by my count, but I'm not exactly sure where the line's gonna be. Those 8 or 9 are gonna have to have a pump put in to move their sewer uphill to the street. Or is it gonna be deep enough where they're still gonna grab it?
It's gonna be deep enough, and it's in the contract that Brian has to hire a licensed plumber to go in and reroute their sewer and tie it into the new sewer main.
Okay, so we're not gonna have an issue of who's responsible for any sewer pumps on the individual residences
That's right.
after this is
We
done?
just have to let the residents know and obviously get permission from the residents to reroute their.
Yeah, we're gonna have to disconnect their sewer connection to
For
do
a
this.
short period of time.
For a short period of time. Okay.
Sometimes you can reverse it, go right out the front with it. Sometimes you have to take it from the back and come around.
And
the
go
side
around, yeah,
all the way.
I
That's why the
understand.
sewer in Commerce is so deep coming out.
Yeah, I've done enough construction myself to understand
Yeah.
those logistics. I just wanted to make sure that the city wasn't gonna potentially be liable for someone's sewer pump long-term.
No.
Okay.
Before y'all get away, Steve, I do need to ask you a question on an unrelated,
Yes, sir.
the water project, the 889,000, that's the part where we've got the $200,000 match, and we've got that, so no borrowing money. Is there anything we need to do for you tonight as a council? Anything we need to approve?
No, not for us, not for anything tonight. You all have, the name of the company that State of Tennessee hired to administer that program is slipped my head.
I can't remember it.
Jones. Anyway, they've been in touch with April. They are requiring you to put out an RFQ for professional services.
We've done that.
Which has been done, so you'll get responses to that. You'll go through a process of choosing, but all of your money and everything right now seems to be on track, and once you get through that process, I would anticipate you being able to move forward with a tank painting job in the next 2 to 3 months, which is paid for by the grant funds, and then have had conversations with J.C. York in regards to, and he understands what needs to be done at the water plant. So, you know, it's really about just getting through that RFQ process, and then you're set up to move forward and be successful from there.
So we could have a water project and a sewer project ongoing at the same time here in the city. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
They're going on at the same time, yes, sir.
All right.
Oh, not on the same street.
There you go.
Well, a lot of this,
I don't have your street pretty much tore up where I'm at.
most of this work's the tank.
Yeah.
And, you know, making some repairs and maintenance to that, because switching from the dirty water to the clean water, we certainly want it to stay clean and to have plenty of it. All right. Appreciate you guys. I just want to make sure, didn't need to do anything while I had you here. All right. Y'all stay as long as you want to, or make a mad dash to the door.
Thank you, everybody.
Let me mention, Ms. Nix brought it up about the street paving, and then we talked about it again. Don't really have anything else to report on that tonight. And the other project we've got going is the turntable. Of course, we're still chasing money on that. But we did, the group that's working on that met yesterday morning at my office, and we are going to make another application to the federal government for what's called a CRISI grant. They have buku billions of dollars across the country from the legislation that was passed a couple of years ago. We missed out on the last grant, and now you can make another application for a new round of funding by May 28. So I'm going to ask y'all tonight to approve the city of Watertown making that application. And it doesn't cost anything. Everybody that's working on that's working for free. So, well, with the exception of Steve Smart, who's our consultant on that, but he hadn't charged us in quite a while. So I'd like for y'all to approve that so we can chase up that rabbit.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Everybody understand what we're doing? Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. All right, let's stay on water here and sewer. Let me get back in. As you know, we have for years here, when you have a leak, we have made an adjustment. We have a formula. Of course, the leak has to be substantial enough that the formula works. We did some of those last time, and I think before that, April had given me some information that we had made adjustments this year to about, before last month, about $6,600, I think. So that's money we didn't get. We need that money, obviously. And so what we did last month on second reading, we agreed to do away with our adjustment policy. But what I will recommend in its place is that we go into a contract with Servline. They serve one of the utility districts in the west end of the county. It is a water leak protection program. It will pay for, let me back up before we go any further. The question was asked either last month or before, were we still going to fill swimming pools and not charge the people other than a minimum bill for it? And from my perspective, I think we should, one time or something. You know, now if they drain their pool or something, the second time they fill it, they're on their own. But I think we should do that. So I want you to keep that in your mind separately. But if we do the water and sewer leak protection, the rate they have quoted me is If you have a leak where the bill is no more than $2,500, the charge for that is $4 a month. And I would propose that we add that to the water and sewer bill. If you do commercial single occupancy, that charge is $11 and a nickel a month. Commercial multiple occupancy is $22 and a dime. You know, we don't have a lot of multiple occupancy commercial here. And most of our people, and we've got some good people sitting here tonight that have made an investment in this community, that I guess what I'm stuttering and stammering about is why can't we just treat them with a residential rate? Treat all our businesses with the same rate, not have to put them with an additional, and if it backfires somewhere down the road, then we can come back and take a look at it. But we can also limit the leak protection to $1,000, but the monthly payment will only go down 60 cents. So it appears to me if you add that 60 cents on there for another $1,500 protection. We talked about not being gamblers, but if we were gonna gamble, that's a pretty good gamble there. The proposal would, they would do this 2 times within 12 months. Same situation for the insurance company as with us. They would require proof that the leak has been fixed. And what would happen is when the consumer got their bill and it shows a large leak, a large bill, they would pay, we would talk to the company, find out what they're going to pay. We would expect the consumer to pay what their part would be. Then we turn this in to the insurance company and they pay the difference every 30 days. So I think that's a win-win for us because we're not going to lose any money anymore. Or we're going to minimize that anyway. Hesitate to make such a broad statement. But so I'm going to recommend to you, and we approved this on first reading last time, the concept. So tonight on second reading, I'd like to ask for you to go ahead and put this in place so it will go out not on the bills that are going out. Let's see, April, we got bills going out and Lisa the next 2 or 3 days, right? So it won't be on this month's, but it will be on what goes out May the 20th or 21st if we do this. So I'm going to recommend to you that we do this, that we add this to the bill. And I think for folks that have a serious leak, it'll be a good thing to have. For those that never have a leak, you're paying a little extra each month. So.
Well, I have a question on that. Because, are you saying you're gonna make this insurance mandatory on every
Yes.
water meter?
Yeah, you would just add that to the bill.
It's not gonna be an option to the.
They can opt out if they want to.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, they can opt out, and it's in there. I should have said that. But of course, then there's no leak adjustment. We won't put ours back in place.
If you opt out, you're 100% responsible for the entire bill, whether you have a leak or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the way it reads here. Let me see if there's anything else I missed. Y'all be thinking if you have other questions.
Well, I guess my question on that is, you're talking about with the May billing, are we gonna do any kind of communication to the community prior to that saying this is gonna be an option, this change is coming, you've got an option to opt in or opt out?
This is the communication.
I will put it in one of my articles. Of course, I don't know if anybody or everybody reads that, but we can put it on our website.
Yeah, I'm good. And well, I can just see if the bills go out May 21st, April's phone's gonna be blowing up on May 22nd, saying, what's this $4 charge?
Could be. But we'll do our best to get any way we can with it.
I'm sorry, did you say it's going to be 1 or 2 readings?
No, we've already done the first reading. This will be our final. So it'll be in effect next month. And I think the way we made our motion last month on the current adjustment policy is it would be applicable to what the bills that are going out the end of this week, but this will be the last time.
No, I think last time you said 2 billing cycles.
Yeah. So this cycle and then the May would be the leak protection. Okay.
You need a motion to.
I do.
For insurance.
Please.
I'll make a motion.
All right. The motion by Kyle,
I'll
is there a
second the
second?
motion.
Make sure we understand that we're approving this policy, we're gonna add it to the bill with the consumer to have the option to opt out. And if they opt out, any leak adjustment they need in the future will not be there. I assume they could opt back in, but not for that leak. I mean, it'd be too late at that point in time. All right?
Can't retroactively opt back in, no.
No. It would be a good gamble, wouldn't it? All right. Questions, comments? All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, appreciate that. I think that's a good investment for us, and I think it's a win-win. I really do. Let me mention one other thing with water that doesn't require any action tonight. But when we do this water rate study, we're going to have quite a bit of building going on here in this community, believe it or not. We've got some things in the pipeline are coming down that 8, 10, 12 water and sewer taps, maybe some with 15 or 20. And we may want to look at our water and sewer tap rate and raise that so we'll have another form of income to offset this increase some. So that's something I may be bringing back to you soon to do that. But I know Planning Commission's going to consider one the 29th. It's got, eight townhomes? We've got one on the books. It's got 11 that haven't been built yet. And that may turn into being more. And, we don't have a lot of vacant land in this town, but they're making the maximum use of it. So, and that population we talked about a while ago, Caleb, about to go up. Who would have thought it? All right, let me, okay, I need to get you to approve 2 budget amendments for the city. The first one is to accept revenue that we have received from the state of Tennessee that's being used by the police department. We have gotten 2 grants this year. Chief Enderlight has worked hard on those, and we have gotten one grant for $76,530, another for $4,999.07. Now, I don't know what happened to the other 93 cents. But we need to show that as revenue in our budget. So it's more of a paper transfer than anything because we've already got the money. So I need you to approve that on first reading if you would.
I'll motion to approve both of those. I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, any opposed? All right, that carries on first reading. You'll see that one again in May. Second one is mention the project on Commerce Avenue, $228,690. Already paid the 80. We have that on our savings and our fund balance, so I need to move that from the fund balance into the line item where we're paying that out of repair and maintenance for sewer. So that's a budget amendment to move that money into where it's in the budget, $228,690. I need you to approve that on first reading, please. Got 2 on that, and I've already spent $80,000 on it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, don't make me sweat. All right, appreciate it. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Now, Steve, the only other item of business that I have, but yours is the food thing, so I'm gonna turn that over to you, the food truck order.
Yeah. The copies were sent out earlier last week, or was the revision from last month where made some minor adjustments, and actually at the request of Chief Hinderlight, we made a one sentence change in the special event section of the original ordinance. But, like I said, it's, we had the first reading last month, and it's, with those minor changes, I mean, we're here for the second reading, which basically would implement a food permit process for mobile food vendors. It varies, if I recall off the top of my head, it was $50 a month or $250 for a 180-day permit. April, was it $500 for a 1-year permit? $350, I'm sorry, $350. So the $350 would be basically for $1 a day, you could do business in Watertown for a year. But, you know, and there are some guidelines in that for those who haven't read the ordinance, that restrict where they can set up and what hours they can operate. You can't be set up on a public street, you gotta, you know, and so forth, and some things that I think, Chief Hinderlight has kind of given his blessing on, and, in terms of, we had some, in fact, I saw something this past weekend with the, yard sale that would have been a violation of that ordinance had it already been in place, because someone literally was set up almost blocking one half of one lane on Central Avenue, or Central over here. So, but, I guess we need to, if we can get a motion and a vote to approve the food truck ordinance as it was presented in the emails this past week.
I may have missed it, but did it say in there, I know last time Brady was saying who would be in charge of those, like she does now for some of those events, so.
Well, I did not get a follow-up from Brandy, so I don't know what her ordinance was. The way I addressed that for the special events, the special event coordinator will need to provide the city a list of their food trucks that are going to be in their special event at least a week before the event. Provide April with a list. A individual food truck would be exempt from having a permit for 2 special events in the year. If they, I mean, April and them, Brandy and them they have several special events, but if they have a food truck vendor that attends 6 of her special events, they're going to have a permit to be in the 3rd one, because they only get 2 exemptions in a year. And the way that that's going to be controlled is we get a list from the special event coordinator, and we'll keep track, but once they've got their 2 exemptions, if they want to come back to a 3rd or 4th or 5th special event, then they're going to need to get a permit. And because we're not trying to cut into the number of vendors they have at a special event, we're just simply saying that a food truck vendor is only given 2 exemptions basically in the calendar year, and that they can pick and choose which events they want to use their exemptions for.
And wouldn't that allow the chamber, I think Brandy said that night, that they charge some for them to set up on special events, that would still give them the opportunity to do that for 2 special events?
Yes, they can, they can charge their fee for their special event for every special event.
Sure.
But if the food truck vendor chooses to be in more than 2 and they want to be in 3 or 4, they got to get a permit to be in the 3rd and 4th one, plus they're responsible for whatever the special event coordinator is charging them.
But if they say the food truck pays for the year-long thing, up front, like January 1, and then they want to set up, I mean, who dictates that? Because
At a special event?
well, I mean, who's to say, like, wherever they're setting up now,
Well-
say, well, I'm gonna set up over here on my yard sale and not even consult them.
Well, to be part of the special event, and it's in the ordinance, that the food trucks in the special events, because we normally are closing some streets, the special event has a controlled area that they have control of.
Okay.
And they control the food truck vendors in that area. But if you're the barbecue truck that sits up over here at Dollar General and you've paid for your 1 year, we can't stop them from setting up on the same weekend as a special event over at Dollar General, because it's outside the special event area. We can only control what's in the special event area. So that's how that's I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
Well, that's all we can do is we allow the special event coordinator to control their event.
Yeah.
And we give each food truck vendor 2 exemptions within any of those special events that they choose to be part of. So that's the best I think we can offer and still be able to know who's serving food in our community and making sure they don't set up in the middle of the street or block the street and again, if you're setting up on private property, the ordinance indicates that you have to have written permission from the property owner or the business that's on that property. The business may be leasing the building, but from the business operator, you have to have their permission to be on their property. Yes, ma'am.
I had, my friend lives around the corner. Last 4 years, he's been selling tamales on my property for the yard sales. And that's just, I don't give a written permission, it's all her. And this year, we get our pork from Triple L Farms that lives out here on Chicken Road. And, this year, for the first time, they've set it on the other side of our front yard. I'm not giving them written permission either. I get my meat from them every month, so do I have to have written permission for those people that are my people? Not some oddball coming in that's just a, commercial thing.
Well, are they setting up as
There for the yards.
are they, I mean, is it a mobile food truck that they're preparing the food in the truck on site?
The Triple L has a beverage thing that they do. And Eloise just sells tamales out in front of her little tent that she puts up.
I don't think that's any different than the church over here selling hamburger and hot dogs a mile long, or little girls.
Right.
Limited,
Right, if you're set up under a tent, that's, the intent of this ordinance is to have some type of control and understanding of who's coming in and out of our city throughout the year.
That also sounds like it would just fall under special occasions.
Pretty much, it's just an off day.
Yeah,
And then not every time, except for her, because that's when I get my tamales.
yeah. Well, we have a lot of lemonade stands that get put up during the mile yard, so either this, we're not attempting to stop that.
Okay.
The other thing, I'm sorry, Steve, but the other thing is that we have people who have made an investment in restaurants and stuff here that others that come in food trucks set up, make some money, but they don't have the same overhead or whatever that our merchants have. So we're trying to maybe level the playing field a little bit. Is that
And
a fair statement?
yeah, that's a fair statement, and the ordinance does include some limitations on where the food trucks can set up. Even if they're on private property, they can't be within 250 feet of a permanent restaurant. I mean, there's some guidelines in there as to how close they can be, so you can't have someone come up, in the middle of the week and set up across the street from the Mexican restaurant, every week on Thursday or whatever. I mean, they has to be some distance there. Trying to make things fair to our brick and mortar facilities.
Yeah, you made the motion. Did you make the motion, or have you?
I'll make the motion on second reading.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Further discussion? I think this goes along with what we were talking about with sewer taps, water taps, other things. We're growing, and we're gonna have to find a way to find some extra revenue that is based on the user and not on the homeowner or whatever, that, not to put that burden on the property taxpayer, and to try to find additional revenue, because just what I mentioned a while ago, those things that are coming in, we're gonna have more people to serve. So, I think, and it's something that once we approve it, assuming it gets approved tonight, that we may have to tweak it some over the next few months, maybe something we hadn't thought about. But, I think we'll be, open-minded enough to do that. So, further discussion? All right, we ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. I want to say this to y'all too. I appreciate you tonight. We've been unanimous in what we've done, and that means something. 2 or 3 informational items, and we'll go around the table. I want to ask, Hal, how many people were in your graduating class?
48, 49, or something like that.
How many were in your graduating class, you remember?
There's 11, and that was the biggest at the time.
It's not going to be any more. Mine was 45.
They've already broke that. So.
Yeah, I was talking to Darian Brown the other night. Graduation's May the 9th, and they're going to graduate 152 people. Now, Hal, you and I can remember, because we're older than Caleb, you and I can remember when there wasn't much more than 152 people in high school over here. And now we're at about 700, and 100, when he told me that, I thought he was messing with me. He said, no. He said a couple of them may not make it, but he said it'll be 150. Okay, well, anyway, graduation's May the 9th. If you want to go to that. Y'all hear me talk time to time about these kids that are in these plays and stuff. They are having one play April 26th, 27th, and 28th, Murder at the Masquerade. The Purple Tiger Theater is putting it on. It is admission by donation. And if you get a chance to go and support these kids, they're pretty good at what they do. I've seen a couple of things, and they're pretty good, and I'm glad we got that. That's another thing. We all remember the little stage up here, not much bigger than this. Now they've got one as big as this room, and so glad they got it.
What were those dates again?
April 26th, 27th, and 28th. The 28th is a Sunday. It's going to be at 2 o'clock. The other 2 days were Friday and Saturday at 7 o'clock. So it's a cheap date. Our next meeting will be May the 21st at 6 o'clock. And we'll go around the table. Hal?
The sign down here at the park, whatever happened?
It needs to be worked on.
We're gonna get that done.
I don't know. We'll get to it. Just a whole lot of other things been dominating our time. But we'll get to it.
All right.
It looks tacky.
I think everybody that lives around here knows that this yard sale that we had this past week is probably the biggest one I've ever seen in Watertown. I mean, it was even bigger between here and Lebanon. I have never seen anything like it.
Good.
And what I'd like to do, I talked to one of the officers. I hadn't talked to him right over there, but I talked to one of them down Saturday. We need to stop two-way traffic, and we've tried to do it before, but we put our foot down, we can stop it. It's dangerous, and it don't need to be done. If somebody's gonna get killed down here in that square, running across the street with traffic going both ways.
So when I first started here with Joe, Statesville down was one-way traffic. And we also didn't allow them to park on both sides of the road.
Yeah.
So that's something that
On the sidewalks, blocking the sidewalk. I've been to these yard sale big ones. And they got a designated place like over here at the park, and you walk from there to town.
Yes.
And then, we just let people park where they want to, up in somebody's yard or sidewalk or where else.
Well,
I'm not running the yard sale down, it's just that we need to make some improvements.
Well,
I talked to Jim Saturday, and he's put this on for years, and he said it's getting worse every year, said somebody's gonna get hurt bad.
Well, we probably do need to have some kind of workshop with Brandy and set up some things. I saw one Facebook post that said we shut down Central. Well, that wasn't accurate. What happened was there was, with Chris them there now, they had a thing out front. Jimbo had a thing out front. And then when you start closing all that in, people turning right, you can't do it. You get run over. And when you eat, you don't pay attention to where you're at a lot of times. You just step back, man, you're glad, and you're run over. So what I did was divert them, turn them left and turn them into the alley, which made more sense because what happened, we had some collisions last year, people parked on each side of Central. Well, when you park on each side of Central, you can't get through. So I was like, you know what, we'll just eliminate this, and I run them down the alley. Well, the reason it was this last second decision, but with all the crowd that was there, with Chris and him being there, more activity on that corner, and Jimbo, somebody couldn't have navigated through there in the turn. So I was like, you know, we need to do that. And even the next yard sale, talking to some folks there, this one, the business with the house, you know, they're going to be open for business on the other side of Pearl maybe next time. And then one of the other homes that are building, if they're open for business, it's really going to be messy. So, you know, that's why I made a recommendation even to Brandy, and I didn't hear from her. It's okay, I'm sure she's busy, but we definitely have to do some work on that. And again, when I started here, we had one-way traffic down.
Yes.
But we started up here, and it got changed. It doesn't matter why or how, it would be a lot safer. And, you know, and we're going to have to put some stipulations. Friday was a nightmare for me. I had to call somebody in, because at 1:30, if we don't get every single car off the road, the buses can't pass. And then when they put their stops out, they don't have, you know, there's no, you know, when their doors come open and their stop comes out, the kids have to walk around, you wouldn't have been able to even get off the bus. So the school board called me about that as well, so it's a lot.
Yeah, and I had a complaint on that, came from my wife, about going back and forth to school. And I'm just sitting here thinking, you were talking about a workshop and putting one-way traffic in on Saturday, but we're getting now where people are setting up on Thursday and Friday.
That's right.
And I'm wondering if we should maybe come in with an ordinance before the October yard sale that says we'll do one-way traffic from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And also say that you cannot set up, there'll be no parking on Main Street from 6 in the morning to 8 in the morning, and again from 1 to 3 or whatever during school times, and then we've never given parking tickets here that I know of, but maybe it's time, if they violate that, because I think some people will say, well, they're not gonna do anything, and, we may need to enforce that, so I may try to draft you an ordinance on that.
And also, people setting up their tents on the sidewalk, not in the yards. That's something y'all, I guess, will have to control, who's putting these on. Because I know of at least 3 or 4 places in Watertown, they had their tent or their plane set right across the sidewalk. You couldn't get through, you had to get out on the highway.
I'll see if we can work, if you'll, talk to Brandy, or I'll be glad to sit down with you when you talk to her, and we'll see if we can't get some of these things done.
One other thing.
Yeah.
And it's up to you, I think maybe you've got the power to do it, and Hinterlight. Get us some county up here, or highway patrols between here and Lebanon. It took me 45 minutes from Fruit Hill till you turn off in Watertown Saturday. And it was just bumper to bumper, and nobody driving 5 miles an hour looking at everything. If we had some police up here on the state road, highway, making the people move and not letting them just loaf around, it'd be a whole lot better.
I don't have any authority with
I know, but you
I'll stay
else.
sheriff. I'll talk to Robert Bryan.
Who we could get up here to just drive up and down the highway and stop these people from rubbernecking.
Shopping from the road.
Yeah.
Well,
I followed one from Cannon County the other day, and I didn't think we was ever gonna get across the town bridge, because he was looking at what was coming, and I swear, I believe I could have walked or crawled faster than they were moving.
one of the things that happened up here, because I had to go out and help, was there was multiple food trucks set up at the upholstery place, which per se, that's their property, but what was happening was everybody was stopping. And to get food. Well, even me with blue lights and siren, I mean, you telling somebody, hey, come from the stand, get your vehicle out of the road. Well, that took time, because they were like, well, I'm gonna get my food first. I mean, you know, I'm not, you know, it's kind of funny, you're like, well, okay, I understand that, but that's kind of what happened, and, you know, even if we, great idea, but even if you have somebody patrolling, you know, a lot of these, you know, we had 10 things set up from our city limits sign on West Main all the way up through that were food vendors, and, I mean, people are just attracted to food, I am too.
I feel sorry for the postman, the one carrying the mail Saturday. She was going over in people's yards out here on the, this side of Pruitt Hill. She, all down through that road, she came through everybody's yard. She couldn't get down the street. Right down through the yards carrying the mail.
And I've never been involved with a yard sale, but I'm assuming the people that sign on to be vendors, there's a list of them or whatever. I'm looking at y'all because I know y'all been involved, so.
That's in the controlled
That's
area
in the city.
in the city. Once you get out on the streets, people
Right.
are getting it.
But I'm talking about when we make a deal with them, in other words, they call and say, I want to set up at the October yard, that we give them a list of rules and say, here's what you can do, what you can't do. Don't set up between 1 and 3 or
Right.
6 and 8 in the morning.
But
Because it is tough for the buses.
But again, that is within that controlled special event area, which is
Yeah.
what our food truck ordinance addresses, is within the event area for special
So,
events, so.
one more thing that we probably need to discuss, we keep talking about the controlled event area, and that's amazing, but up here at Main Street in Sparta, you couldn't get through. Literally, I had to go up there and tell them to move. They're parked on both sides. It's the most people I've ever seen in my life in that one little spot. So we probably need to consider something. If you're in the city limits, you're going to buy, like your 10 has to be 10 feet off the roadway, whatever it has to be.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can't be everywhere, because, you know, all of our people are set up down here in a control event. And, you know, I'm floating, well, I go up there, can't get through, it took me 30 minutes to get them to move, because who knows whose cars they really are. So that's another thing, you know, if it's in the city limits, we probably need to have some kind of saying, hey, you can set up, you still need to register, even though you're not in the control area, but we need to know what's going on. Because I'm telling you, it's getting really, we couldn't even get down Main Street. Once you
Okay.
come across the railroad tracks, it was standstill.
So that's all the more reason to have a set of rules and give it to them in advance, so that when you go and tell them to get out of there, you can say,
Yes.
you already been warned, we gave you a written.
I just think it needs to be more than just the controlled areas. It should
Okay.
be the complete street.
City limits to city limits.
That's accurate.
Okay.
It seems like everybody used to, they would put a yard sale down next to their house, out on the road or wherever. And it seemed like everybody's edging up a little further. I'm gonna get closer to you. And then move up a little bit, the next one moves up, and now they're right out on the highway. Just right on the highway.
Well, Mike, I think it's back to what you mentioned, we need to see if we can't draft some type of ordinance
Yeah.
that's citywide.
Yeah, for those days, yard sale days.
Yeah.
And personally, I would not be opposed to having a tow truck service on retainer. You know, you get a warning, and if you don't move, we
If
move it.
they can get to them.
Yeah, if they get to them, they do it for you.
No, I'm not against the yard sale.
No, I'm
But we need to do some, I'm like,
And the other thing that.
Mike, we need to do some work on it.
But the other thing that nobody said, but could be life or death, well, we need to get an
Yeah,
ambulance through
nobody
there.
can get down the
Fire
highway,
truck through
there's
there.
no way.
We'll see if we can't come up with something, but I'll be glad when we see if we can get an audience with Brandon, not anytime real soon, but
I understand.
we'll,
Well, we got.
I gotta get back to my work at some point in time, so. Okay, what else you got?
That's all.
Steve?
Just a couple items. One, I want to bring up again, coming into budget. I know we're going to have to be raising water rates and possibly taxes. We need to give some serious consideration to some type of retirement system for our city employees.
And I intend to look at that. I will tell you, you said something there, of course, y'all are more votes than I am, but I will never recommend that we raise water and sewer rates and taxes in the same year. That seems to me a double whammy to me. But I will, I've promised some employees here that we'll look at that retirement.
And part
It
of the-
needs to be done.
Yeah, part of the reason I mention it now is I will not be here next month. I've got a business trip I'll be on next month, so I'll miss
Okay.
this meeting.
Well,
And I know
that's-
that's getting close to budget
I
time.
probably won't have a budget ready in May. We gotta do it in June. Probably will have a regular meeting and a special meeting, so you'll still be in there. Yeah, that may be when the water and sewer rate increase comes, so we don't want you being gone.
The only other thing I was gonna mention, I noticed that this year, when we do our audit, when the audit is done for this year's budget, I think our auditor we need to readdress our, asset list
Okay?
when the auditor's doing his audit, because as part of that training we had to take online for the controller's office, they mentioned the asset list, and doing a little research, we've got some things on our asset list that I don't think are here anymore.
Okay.
And, I mean, they've been fully depreciated, so that part's fine, but I think we need to look at trying to clean up some of the older items that are still on the list that
Okay.
we don't have anymore.
All right. Okay.
Just a little housekeeping.
Do what? What'd you say?
I said just a little housekeeping.
Oh, okay. A little housekeeping, yeah. All right. Anything else? Steve?
Yeah, that was it.
Cal?
Someone asked me about arrows on the square.
Yeah, that came up last time, I think. Caleb may have brought it up last time about getting the square painted. We're just waiting
Someone
to,
asked today about it.
yeah, it's gonna happen. Yes, sir. We've, our guys have been working pretty hard, and I'll tell you, at least two out of the last 3 weekends, they've had to come in and deal with a water leak or whatever, so,
Last Saturday, I think.
yeah. We'll try to get that done. Anything else, bud? Caleb?
You just said they were busy, but I had a couple of residents ask to make today for the water guys to make sure they're putting the lids back on the water meters.
Okay,
One of them had a small kid, she was saying she didn't know it was open, they were out there running around, working in or something, it opened like that, so.
yeah. And that exposes us to liability, yeah, we need to fix that. All right.
It was several different people that told me that this month theirs was awful, so.
Okay. I'll address that in the morning. Okay. Anything else? John, we got anybody that wants to talk out in whatever world it is? Anything else? We've done a lot tonight, I hate to use the term, but a pretty historical meeting, I guess. Just hope we're not all history tomorrow. But anyway, we'll be, I've been through this before. We'll be okay. Biggest thing is, again, I will repeat, is I'd much rather give people too much information as not enough. So if they've got questions, we'll answer them, and if we don't know the answer, we'll find somebody that does. Y'all ready to go?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Second? Get up and go home. That'll be our vote.